Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 16, Text 25, Translation. O Lord, whatever punishment you wish to award to these two innocent persons, or also to us, we shall accept without duplicity. We understand that we have cursed two faultless persons. Purport. The sages, the four Kumaras, now reject their cursing of the two doorkeepers, Jaya and Vijaya, because they are now conscious that persons who engage in the service of the Lord cannot be at fault at any stage. It is said that anyone who has implicit faith in the service of the Lord, or who actually engages in transcendental loving service, has all the good qualities of the demigods. Therefore, a devotee cannot be at fault. If sometimes it is found that he is in error by accident or by some temporary arrangement, that should not be taken very seriously. The cursing of Jaya and Vijaya is here repented. Now the Kumaras are thinking in terms of their position in the modes of passion and ignorance, and they are prepared to accept any kind of punishment from the Lord. In general, when dealing with devotees, we should not try to find faults. In Bhagavad Gita also it is confirmed that the devotee who faithfully serves the Supreme Lord, even if found to commit a gross mistake, should be considered a sadhu or saintly person. Due to former habits, he may commit some wrong, but because he is engaged in the service of the Lord, that wrong should not be taken very seriously. Yam vana yordamamadisha bhavan vidatte vrittim nuvata danuman mahinir vyalikam asma suvaya uchito driyatam sadando yena gasau vayamayunkshmahikil bishena. O Lord, whatever punishment you wish to award to these two innocent persons or also to us, we shall accept without duplicity. We understand that we have cursed two faultless persons. So Kumaras are very Krishna conscious, and in a moment they have cursed Jaya and Vijaya, but then they regretted it, and because they are Krishna conscious, they understand that those who are engaged in the service of the Lord cannot be at fault. So now this verse explains how much beneficial is devotional service, and how much those who are engaged in devotional service should be respected, and also should be forgiven if they make a mistake. Now, for those who are rascals, this is a perfect instruction to misuse, and people do. They misuse these kind of instructions. So this is meant for those who observe mistake, not for those who make mistakes. If you are looking from the point of view of the person who makes mistakes, you have a perfect excuse, and you can justify all your nonsense activities, whether sinful activities or other kinds of activities exploiting others, with these kind of instructions, and misuse the Shastra. So this is one of the most horrible things that one can do in devotional service, to misuse the instructions of the scriptures and to use it for his own sense gratification and for his own selfish purposes. So therefore we need to consult spiritual master and experienced devotees. What does it mean, what is written in the scriptures? Otherwise, we can misunderstand it and misuse it. For example, someone who is senior, he can say, "Oh, you are making offenses to me. You are criticizing me." And this senior person may be doing horrible things and misusing his position, misusing his seniority, and then he's blackmailing people that you are offending me, you are insulting me, because you're seeing my mistake and you are talking to others about my mistake. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada wanted us to discuss the scriptures from all angles of vision and to come to an honest conclusion. What is it that is written? Also in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 9th chapter, you know that verse, Apichet Suduracharo, Bhajate Mama Nanya Bhak, Sadureva Samantavya, Samyak Vyavahitos Hisaha. Srila Prabhupada mentions this here, that one who is engaged in devotional service should be considered to be a saintly person, even if he does something horrible. Now, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that nobody should misuse this verse and do nonsense. Nobody should misuse this verse and do nonsense. If you only look at the verse without a commentary, then you can come to a wrong conclusion. So Srila Prabhupada said we should discuss the verses and the scriptures from all angles of vision, from different angles of vision. And here, if we look from the angle of vision of someone who commits the crime or the sinful activity, then there is a justification. It's not a problem if I do something horrible, Nobody should judge me, nobody should criticize me. And if you look from the point of view of the person who is harmed by such behavior, then it looks horrible. It looks horrible. So now we see later that Krishna still let them get punished, but with some concession, and they were to be born 3 times as demons and then come back to him. So if we study the scriptures, especially under the guidance of those who are more experienced, then we should understand these things. You may finish Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhava, Bhakti Sarvabhauma, Bhakti Vedanta, Bhakti Sarvabhauma, and still remain a cheater. Still continue with the same behavior that you had before all your studies of the scriptures. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada says that the Vedas are meant for formation of character. They are meant for formation of character, not for becoming learned and speculating about the scriptures. So if someone doesn't change his character and his behavior, then his study of the scriptures is of not much use. We are taught to forgive. Yes, we can forgive. But at the same time, we are taught to, preserve the Dharma. Preserve Dharma and preserve the principles that are given by God. And one of the principles given by God is that we should protect people from other people's violence, from other people's behavior, from other people's disturbance. And this is the duty of both Brahmanas and Kshatriyas, to protect people. Brahmanas give proper knowledge and they show direction, and clarify what is right, and then Kshatriyas are meant to implement this into daily activities. We see one phenomena in our movement, and not only in our movement, I think on this planet, that when someone becomes a manager, it brings up all his bad qualities. This is very dangerous. If you get a power, position, resources, one should be very, very careful not to misuse it. One devotee was complaining to me that formerly devotees were collecting money on Sankirtan, and then their leader bought a first-class car for himself. So many left after that. Many devotees left when they have seen this. So I think the duty of the GBC is to supervise local management and make sure that the local management is doing things properly. But if they themselves do the same thing, then somebody has to supervise them. And apparently that this is supposed to actually that GBC body should supervise individual GBCs. But then, if people just support each other in their misuse of the position, then there is no hope. There is no hope. And then Krishna will have to do some very drastic things, and this movement will have to suffer a lot. First of all, suffer the greatest loss for this movement, if leaders are not honest, is that people will not trust us. Because how can we preach to people if they don't trust us? And if they don't see that we follow what we preach, that we follow the high principles in the scriptures. There was one famous rock musician who started visiting ISKCON and associating with some devotees affiliated with ISKCON, and then he left. So I asked why he left. He went to Narayan Maharaj. I asked one friend why he left. And he said because he was frightened with what he heard that's happening in our movement. Especially what leaders are doing, what gurus are doing. And he tried to, he got initiated also. And sometimes materially intelligent people come to our movement, and they can see so many things very clearly that we don't see. We are naive. They see misuse, abuse of people, money, and they don't want to join. They don't trust. They like Prabhupada, they like the books, but they don't like the association of devotees. So therefore, everybody needs guidance, especially a leader. I have been proposing this many times, also at the European leaders meeting, that every leader should have a coach. And there was objections to that because one leader said, because we are seniors, who will coach us? But if we are not on a level of higher consciousness, then we need to be supervised. Otherwise, we will misuse. And of course, nobody will force you to be supervised. If you agree to be supervised, you can be supervised because you don't want to make mistakes. So honest person will say, please supervise me so that I am sure I don't make mistakes. Once one leader said, please tolerate my imperfections. So I was asking devotees, which leader would you follow? One who says, please tolerate my imperfections, or the other one who says, please give me feedback so I can improve? So which leader would you follow? Please tolerate my imperfections. Please forgive me my mistakes and my misuse and my abuse. So which leader would you follow? Or what kind of leader you want to become? You want to become such a leader who will tell people, please forgive me my mistakes, please tolerate my misuse and abuse of people and money. You want to become such a spiritual leader? Okay, that's nice. That you don't want to become such a leader. And the honest leader will say, please give me feedback. If you don't want me to know your name, then give anonymous feedback. Put it in the box, type it so I cannot recognize your handwriting, and I will read it. I might recognize who said what, but anyway, you can put your name or you can not put your name, but your perception of me is valuable, because then some things I cannot see about myself, especially some things that are disturbing. And some people may exaggerate, maybe whatever you do, they will not be satisfied. They may be very envious of you. Okay, so you will get such feedback too. That's fine. But most of the time, what you get will be the truth that you need to hear. And you know this expression, where there is a fire, there is smoke.
So, where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah, where there's okay. So in every joke there is some truth, or even I always say, if there is no one around to give you feedback, and you get feedback from an envious person, then it means that Krishna is using an envious person to tell you something, because you cannot hear Krishna directly. Krishna is screaming from your heart as a super soul, but because you are not on a spiritual platform, you cannot hear him. So Krishna is using envious person because there is nobody around who is not envious. He's using the envious person to tell you something, and you say, oh, because you are envious, I will not accept your feedback. So does it make sense? So if you see that Krishna is talking through these people, not that it's only them, then you can benefit from the feedback. I have a friend, he is a very big executive coach, and he deals with top leaders. When the company board wants to fire somebody, they give him another last chance and send him to this coach to help him change their behavior. So these people are usually very smart, hard workers, high achievers, and bad behavior. They're arrogant, opinionated, always self-righteous, always right, and they burn out people. So then, he says, sometimes I speak to these people and they say, yes, I'm like this in my company, but actually at home I'm a different person. And my friend says, really? Can I call your wife? And he calls his wife, and these are big guys. I mean, they are in the newspapers, in the media. These are famous people, but he coaches them. And he says, sure, you can call my wife, you can speak to my kids. And he calls them, and they say, he's the same at home. He's the same at home. Now, another thing he recommends, if you are a husband, for example, in the future, and, okay, we have some husbands here, one husband. So, if you ask me, Prabhu, you are a coach, how can I be a better husband? Then I say, so I ask you, who can help you the most to find out how can you be a better husband? What do you think?
Your wife.
Yeah, you can repeat the question, so I understand better.
Who will help you to learn how to be a better husband?
Oh, yeah, my wife.
Yes. So he says, every month approach your wife with pen and paper and ask her, how can I be a better husband? Don't argue, don't say I agree, don't say I disagree. Just ask her, how can I be a better husband? Write it down, shut up, and say, I will do my best. And she can do the same with you. She approaches you and asks you, how can I be a better wife? Once I approached my stepdaughter and asked her, how can I be a better stepfather or father? And she said, don't chant while you talk to me. So I stopped this doing, and she was more happy with me. So why I'm saying this? Because it takes courage to take feedback, to ask for feedback. It takes courage. Why we don't ask for feedback? We never ask for feedback. Anybody. Why? Because they will tell us the truth. And we will feel very bad. Or they will tell us how they see us. When we enter some room, like temple room, we may think, wow, I probably look really cool as a Vaishnava. I have first class tilak. My daughter is ironed. And I walk with my straight back, straight spine. And I make amazing obeisances. And probably at least half of the temple room is impressed. But actually, the reality is that nobody is even noticing you and even thinking of you. But our mind likes to glorify us. And we think that people think that we are cool. But when we approach them, when we approach them and ask them for feedback, we may be shocked. There is one seminar where they have an exercise. Usually there is 20 participants, and or 30 participants, and the exercise is to approach everyone and ask them, am I a giver or a taker? Based on whatever experience was in their association 1-2 days that they are associating. So, they can observe each other a little bit and see the face and see how they are dealing. And one Prabhu, my friend, told me that he was in that seminar and that he approached people, they approached him also, and asked, and he was shocked. Most of the people told him he's a taker. So it's so painful to hear. So he was thinking that people in this seminar, all the students, all the participants think that I am a giver. But most of them, the reality was that most of them thought that he is a taker. So you can try to ask Krishna for feedback. Krishna, what do you think of me? Do you think I'm a serious devotee? And Krishna says, well, you know what kind of a devotee you are, the best. You tell me, what do you think? Well, Krishna, I'm not so realistic because I see myself in a better light. I see that I'm better than I am, so I need somebody to tell me the reality. And then Krishna says, do you really want to hear? Approach such and such devotee. And you say, oh no, this devotee is my enemy. And Krishna says, yes, go to him. He's expert in criticizing you. So you will get very, very valuable information about your self-improvement from that person. Bring pen and paper and write it down. and then come back to me, and I will give you some tips how to improve. Or I will show you where in the Shastra you will find the tips. So, feedback is not for mommy's boys or mommy's girls. It's for spiritual warriors. If you go to this foreign legion or SEAL training, American Marines, you cannot survive if you are not strong. And they also work on crushing your ego. Sometimes some people think in ISKCON that they have a right to crush people's egos. But then they crush themselves because they make so many offenses. So if somebody is harsh with devotees, if somebody is misusing his position, misusing Krishna's money, misusing his position to control people, to be harsh with people, to force people, to manipulate with people, this person will fall down 100%, 200%. I have seen it over the past 35 years. This person will fall down for sure. And we see it every single day, this happening. So please don't become such a devotee, don't become such a leader, and don't do all this nonsense that is, number one, harmful to you and then to many others. So there are some tough lessons in the Bhagavatam, and here we see also a purport that can be misused like anything, justifying all kinds of nonsense. So please don't do that, ever, and be happy in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Do you have any questions? We have 5 minutes, or maybe 10 minutes, or maybe 15 minutes. Who is first? I don't know, you agree who will be first? Gentlemen.
About this situation with all these GPCs and like this everything, what do you think, what can we do personally, what we can do, our contribution, what kind of contribution we can do that the situation will maybe in future ISKCON will change that?
You become an exemplary devotee.
You think also some leader also, we should become some example leader, or
First you become exemplary in your present position. Good sadhana, good behavior, good dress, be kind to devotees, try to serve. Simple, honest, don't cheat, don't steal, very basic things. Don't manipulate people, don't speak behind people's backs. And then Krishna will give a responsibility very soon. We will get initiation, we will get position, but then don't misuse it. And then if you are asked about someone, a leader, then you should give honest feedback. Say, he does this, he does that. Not because you like him or he likes you that you don't give honest feedback. This is manipulation. So, even in our movement, there is a lot of politics, but we should not get involved in that, and we should avoid it. We should be honest. That's why I was saying last time that we have a long way to go just to become honest, what to speak to become a devotee. And honesty means what you do when no one is looking, what you think when no one is looking, and what you do when everybody is looking is the same. What you think also. It's very hard to do that, because we have this tendency to cheat. That's why we are in the material world. We try to use material energy for our own sense gratification, try to use other people. And Krishna is teaching us the opposite, how to sacrifice for others, But also you should not neglect your own needs and your own basic needs, that kill yourself and lose all enthusiasm. So there has to be a balance. Okay? Yes?
You talked about this Shastras here to transform the character.
Mm.
So we see today so much education, so much Bhakti Shastra like this, but still this problem is happening. So how we can take the right knowledge out of the Shastra, how will this actually happen? That we can transform when we study it. How we need to study for that?
You find some devotees that you trust and who are really honest in their application of the scriptures, and then learn from them. You can ask, okay, how can I apply this? I mean, for example, this purport is a great opportunity to cheat and to justify your own nonsense. But if you meet somebody who is honestly applying this and understanding, then they will tell you that be careful with this purport. Be careful with Apichet Sudurachara from the Bhagavad Gita, because it can be misused. And observe yourself. Try to observe yourself during the day. Are you honest with yourself and with Krishna? Are you honest in every moment? Are you honest? How do you spend your time? How do you deal with devotees? How do you take care of yourself? How do you take care of others? Try to observe yourself as an objective observer and then assess. Or you can discuss with someone. You can say, I see that today, like in the evening you speak with somebody, there is a dinner and you have a little private time. You say, today I made 3 mistakes and tomorrow I want to avoid these mistakes. I criticized one devotee. I used Krishna's money to buy non-bona fide sweets. I don't want to say chocolate, it's very controversial. and I overeating at night, so in the morning I couldn't get up. For example, this is just you can assess. So one question you can use, this is also related to what you want to hear from me about self-coaching. One important question for self-coaching is, what can I do better today that I have done yesterday? Or what can I do better tomorrow than I have done today at the end of the day, if I'm planning the next day? So what can I do better today than I have done yesterday? What mistakes can I avoid? What mistakes can I avoid? What kind of positive things I can do that I have not done, but I had an opportunity to do something? So this is a good question for self-coaching. What can I do better today that I have done yesterday? Yes? Yes?
Yeah. About this things with the honest, we have to be honest with ourselves. You have maybe some practices. You last time talked about we should write our desires or on the paper.
Desires?
I don't know, you said something we should write down our doubts maybe. Yeah?
Everything you should write down. I recommend to write down your desires, your material desires, your spiritual desires, your doubts. It's good to have it on paper.
Yeah.
It's very, very, very helpful. Then you can deal with this. You can see, choose what you want, what you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest means to sincerely try to follow the scriptures, to be Krishna conscious. Prabhupada's definition of honesty is to understand that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer, supreme friend, and supreme master. Bhoktaram yagatapasam sarvaloka maheshwara suhridam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantim vichati. Bhagavad Gita 5:29. Honesty means to follow that verse.
5:20.
It's also formula for peace. So if you are honest, you can be peaceful in front of God. You can stand and not feel that, my dear Lord, I'm such a cheater, and I'm pretending, I'm chanting your glories. Please, kick me. Or please purify me.
Honest, but also that I want to enjoy. It's also honest, right? I want to enjoy.
No, Anandamaya Vyasa, you should enjoy, but enjoy spiritually, not materially.
Yeah, but I want both. So it's honest, right?
Then you have a tension, you have a dilemma. I want both. I want both to light a fire and to pour water. So how can you honestly study scriptures? Find somebody whom you think is honest and ask them to help you to understand how to apply something, and then do it. Application is an amazing thing. How to apply scriptures. I mean, you can really, really twist what you read, speculate, and So I don't understand people who want to use the scriptures, who want to present themselves as Krishna conscious, and they obviously want to be off. They obviously want to do something wrong. But they somehow justify it for themselves and then want to convince everybody else and want to make a new sampradaya. That's okay, that's bona fide. My civil activity is actually bona fide. It's not so bad. And Maya is so strong that everybody can see your Maya except yourself. You're fighting for your rights. I'm also Krishna conscious. I'm sinful, but I'm Krishna conscious. It may be, but then don't make a new standard out of it and insist that we accept this as a new standard. Say, okay, I'm fallen, and I want to come up to the standard. And most devotees, they live day by day. They don't plan their life, they don't plan their advancement, they don't plan their purification. Live from day to day and see how things go. Sometimes I cry, sometimes I laugh, sometimes I'm in ecstasy, sometimes I overeat, sometimes I fast. But they don't plan. And then when something happens, they are shocked. How can this happen to me? I'm a devotee. Where is Krishna now? To take care of me. I don't deserve this. Why me? So you should be ready for every shock. And smile. And especially don't expect too much from others. Expect too much from yourself. Don't expect too much from others. They have their own free will, they have their own relationship with Krishna. They may be a high devotee or a low devotee. Don't expect anything from them, but expect from yourself. This is responsibility. Okay, last. Who has the best question? You can ask even if you don't have the best question.
No question.
Yes.
If you see, okay, like somebody is teaching you, it's not like I don't know, like this aggressive, so that you can avoid this and not listen to them, kinds of people.
If they do what?
If they're not teaching like the proper teaching, you can just avoid, or it's just like proud and not humble. You tell, okay, I don't want to listen to him, his
Of course.
classes.
of course, if they are not preaching properly, that you shouldn't listen to them, you can consult with some other devotees and ask them, what do you think, is this right? And you are not obliged to listen to wrong preaching or nonsense. Like Chandramukhi Mataji was saying that one devotee came from India and started to preach that we should only read the verses of the Bhagavatam. And nobody objected. And then she objected like anything. She stood up. And then it was a scandal. The whole thing became a scandal. So then somebody was preaching about impersonalism also, that she confronted him also. So you are not in a position, she is senior, she can do that, but you can avoid, you can walk out.
Even this is a senior person,
Which one?
the person who is preaching and you wonder what he's preaching or...
I don't know how senior he is. You can ask Chandramukhi Mataji.
No, I mean in our case, if some senior person are preaching some things which we are not, we feel not comfortable with this, what he's preaching, you can also avoid this, or you think this is...
No, you're now saying something else. If you're not comfortable with the truth, it's not the fault of the preacher, it's your fault. But if you are thinking that they are not preaching Krishna consciousness, you can check with others what others think, devotees, that they are preaching something strange. Then you don't have to listen and go to classes of such a person. You can ask your temple president or your bhakta leader for permission to not go to the classes of somebody who is preaching something wrong. And of course, bhakta leader should intervene. Bhakta leader should react. If he wasn't here, that he didn't hear this person, and you heard him, and he should check with that person what he is preaching. These are two different things. You are being uncomfortable and noticing that there is a wrong preaching. Okay? Srila Prabhupada ki.
Right.